coming up on this episode of the Spiro podcast.
Yeah, I'll just give her my password. Yeah, I'll just give them my thing. Now, there is a saying, you know who you're getting married, but you don't know who you're getting divorced from, right? So this VA can be, the most sweet person to hire. She or he can be the most, adoring person, but then at a flip of a switch, and we can, it's human psychology, right? You don't know what person you're going to meet when things go south.
Welcome to the Spiro podcast, managing your real estate photography and videography business. With your hosts, Todd Kivimaki and Craig Magrum.
Hi, and welcome to the Spiro podcast, managing your real estate photography and videography business. Spiro, as you might know if you've listened or watched before, and if you don't know, we're going to tell you, is a software platform designed to help you grow and manage your day-to-day real estate media business. I'm Craig Magrum, host of the podcast. Welcome back to another week. If you're returning, first time welcome to new listeners and new viewers. We are so glad that you've joined us, and we appreciate that. We don't take that for granted. Along with me each and most every week, the co-host and owner and founder of Spiro, Todd Kivimaki. Welcome back to another week, Todd.
Craig, good to be here. We took a week off. I'm sorry, y'all. I was getting the question, are we going to have another one for this week? So we are. We got tangled up with Thanksgiving schedule, I think is what it was, yeah. Craig, and I didn't plan the best, so my fault, but good to be back on here, and we've got an exciting topic today. This is one that was presented to me, and we'll introduce our guest speaker today, but was presented to me, I thought, I don't have that, and I think I need that for sure. That's important. Yeah. So really excited about covering this today.
Yeah, when I saw the topic, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of important, and I haven't thought through enough of that myself. I didn't think through that for my own business when I had it. So, this is going to be some really good information we're excited to share with you. And I'm kind of excited. We've got a whole slate of guests that we're going to be scheduling to join us here on the Spiro podcast, especially for the end of the year here and going into 2025. It's going to be fun. We're going to have a lot of fun.
Craig, we ran out of things to say.
Yeah, so we bring in the real experts now, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's not drag this out. We always like to give you some updates on the Spiro software. What we're working on, ideas that have come in. So Todd, I'll let you take your 30 seconds. 2 minutes to go over the updates on Spiro.
Yes, happy to do so. Updates coming up on the potentially scheduled for the 18th of this month. That's, I won't tell you when it is from today because it's different for you. Okay, think, Todd. But the 18th of December, we're looking to give you another option for video storage via Dropbox. It will streamline things for you even further because Dropbox is already integrated and a part of the workflow if you're using editors. So happy to launch that. Also adding about 4 new features to the create appointment function that we launched about a month ago. A couple other various updates, but we will note those. Those 2 are the biggest ones to you. I do want to use some of this time to let you know about some training we have coming up. So Shannon and I, Shannon's our VP of product at Spiro, and she helped me grow and scale WOW as well. She's recruited agents, she's managed agents. So she has a great idea about not only real estate photography, sales, the whole 9 yards. We did a presentation at Eli Jones's conference, the rep conference, about brokerage deals. And this is probably my number one asked question is when people, how did you scale to be the size you did? And that is through brokerage deals. So we covered about 45 minutes of it in the rep conference, and we knew that just would not be enough. So on January 9th, 2025, we will be doing a much more in-depth. We will have time for Q&A, and it's a free webinar, no cost to you. We'll put time, place, location, and where to sign up for in the show notes. But mark that down. We'd love to have you on there and want you to participate And because this is the number one thing that helped us grow WOW to the size that we have.
Awesome. That's going to be great information to get. So yeah, make sure you get signed up. And again, as Todd said, we'll have the information in the show notes for you. So awesome. Anything else you want to add, or are you good?
That is it. Let's get to I'm excited to dive in here because I have a lot of questions to learn today too. So let's jump right in.
Right. So as you guys know, we like to talk about the business of real estate photography and videography. Lots of great resources out there on the creative side. We really kind of dive into the business side. And a very important topic that kind of ashamedly, Todd and I both have admitted we haven't maybe thought through quite enough is the issue of business continuity. So, what do we mean by that? Well, God forbid something happens to you as the owner of your business. What happens to your business? There's a lot of things to think through with just that one question: what happens to my business if something happens to me? And Todd, you met somebody. Was it at PMRE or was it at Rep?
So I've known this individual just through. So I've met him at conferences, and we talked this year at Rep specifically. But yeah, I've known this individual just through online conversations,
interactions. Right. Awesome. Well, he's got a wealth of knowledge, owns his own real estate media business, also has a background in, I believe it's like data security, information security, business continuity. We're going to let him kind of flesh out all of his background. But Todd, you want to introduce our guest this week?
Yeah, super excited. Many of you know him. He's very active online. So Assaf Lowenstein is on with us today. Assaf, welcome to the show.
Yeah, welcome.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Super excited to be here. First time doing any kind of podcast or online recording. So excited to be here, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're glad to have you.
Thanks.
Now, Assaf, you emailed me about this topic, and I read it, and I went, okay, first, what is he saying? And then two, I read it again, and I went, wait a minute, I haven't thought about this. And that actually was more of alerting than like, hey, I don't need to know this. This was a good thing for me to find out because I have not thought about this. So as mentioned, business continuity, what happens when something happens. But before we get there, I just love to dive in a little bit. You own and operate a real estate photography business. Can we go there first? Do you mind sharing with us how you got into real estate photography and just give us a little an idea of the type of company you operate and, just bring the viewers up to speed about your real estate photography business?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, before that, a little bit, a shorter trip down memory lane. Before doing real estate media for almost 17 years, I was doing tech basically, mainly around testing and test management in smaller companies, larger companies. And before I started this in 2019, I moved to the US with my family. My last position was with PayPal, basically. I started that back home and I relocated here with my wife, 3 kids. And mostly with PayPal, I was wandering around, but that was my first introduction to information security. I did a CISSP certification. Whoever wants to learn a little bit more about that can Google. And then sadly, June last year, they decided to part ways. And I was, wandering around. I knew that I wasn't going to go back into corporate. A lot of tech companies were, firing or doing their own reduction in forces. So a lot of talented people were out there. I came to learn about businesses in the U.S. and real estate in the U.S. So I knew I wasn't going to go back to corporate. So initially I wanted to do something about drones, right? I love aviations, anything around drones. I learned that the learning curve is probably pretty challenging, Also, the entry barrier with equipment and certifications as well, if you want to do things like commercial, infrastructure inspection and stuff like that. And then I came across, surprise, Eli Jones, right? Mm-hmm. And it kind of clicked because, hey, I can fly drones as part of my day-to-day. I always loved photography. My wife and I also started investing in real estate, so that would put me into a good, proximity with real estate agents and potentially investors as well. So that's a good mix of people to be around. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to do my own thing. I'm good at, following processes and building working processes, etc. So this is what I've been doing for many years, and I decided, okay, I'm going to dive into real estate media, and the rest is history. So I've been doing this seriously since the end of 2023. I had to go back home for a longer visit, and so only Instagram, but not really shoots, and I'm officially finishing my first year with the business. Yeah.
Nice.
That's incredible. What is the name of your business?
So it's Builds and Lenses, pretty much like In and Out, Scottsdale, Arizona. Yeah.
Well, great technical background for sure that you're bringing to your business. So very cool.
Well, what a cool story, Assaf. I hear so many stories like this where people came from another business and not even a related business, but kind of the same thing, either love drone technology, photography. I still am amazed every day at how this business of a real estate media business can tie together so many common threads of us. Like myself, like I went to school for tech, love photography, love videography, had a systems brain, and like narrowed and found my way like into real estate photography. It's amazing because if you want to be a solo entrepreneur, you can, and you can be very creative. But if you want to build a business too, it's a fabulous niche that has really not been uncovered a whole lot. And if it has, we're competing with, like, if you want to grow and scale a business, you're competing with other individuals in town that are creative brains or might not want to grow a business. So, and I know nothing against them, but I just say that, and this was mentioned at the conference, you're competing against other photographers. So if you want to be a business owner, it's really cool that you can put yourself in a niche where you're competing against people that are like, I don't know that I really want to do this full force. I might want to do something different, so that you can grow and scale a company. So just need to kind of hear that as well. Talking about going back to your email that you sent me, I read it and I had this little drop in my heart because I thought, well, crap, what if something happened to me? I've casually talked about this to my wife. I think first off, like, this is somewhat morbid, but we have to think about it, right? I mean, I thought about this, like, I don't think anybody knows the password to my computer. That password into my computer unlocks the whole world to my business. It unlocks my password keeper that only is on the computer that I don't even know because I have to copy and paste it. There's documents that are secure. There's accounts that are secure on there. And I told my wife, I was like, well, you're just going to have to, like, if I die, you're just going to have to take my finger. Like, hopefully I don't burn up because you're going to need my finger to get onto my laptop. Like, I didn't know what else to say. Like, that was my solution, which was terrible. Yeah. And we're going to get to better solutions through all the knowledge you have to.
You got to keep your fingers.
Yeah. So, Assaf, that's not the greatest way to set it up, but that's the way my brain goes, is like, so the idea of business continuity is this idea of, if something happens to the business owner, as the business owner, we all operate small businesses. There's a lot that is in our brain only. And
right.
When something happens, we have other loved ones, we have other employees, and we want to make sure that they're set up to continue in the event that something difficult happens. Is that would that be kind of your idea of what the definition of what we're going to discuss today is?
Yes, 100%. I mean, first of all, business continuity and disaster recovery, right? These are things that every business, no matter how big or small it is, need to consider, plan, train, and test and be ready for, right? I was looking, so early this year when the information security and availability, which is part of the CIA, we can talk about that maybe later, was still, up there fresh. And it immediately came to mind, like, I'm the only operator. I mean, my wife, my better half, as I call her, she knows about the business, but she doesn't know about the business.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I tell her stories, this client, this agent, he did that, she did that. But what if, and there's what we call the beer truck test, right? What if a beer truck struck me, hits me in the middle of the road, and we all have risks, right? When we go outside every morning, we take risks. What happens to the business then? I mean, she has no idea what my password is. What's my password to my cell phone, right? How can we reach out to HD Photo Hub if something happens, right? Someone needs to take off maybe the ordering page for 24, 48 hours, maybe more. Someone needs to make delivery. If I did shoots yesterday and clients are waiting today, what happens to those, deliveries that we need to do? If I have scheduled shoots for today and I'm, God forbid, hurt today, someone needs to talk to them, right? So everything around that. So I was really looking at it from a solo operator, but again, while video tours need to have one, Spiro as a software company needs to have one. And every one of those companies has a different, spectrum of threats and vulnerabilities and risk derivatives of those, right? And risk that should be addressed.
Say we're talking to a solopreneur, very small business, boutique, real estate photographer. Mm-hmm. Where would someone like that even start in thinking through this process and starting to put a plan into place? What are the steps that, they should start following?
Excellent question. Yeah. So first of all, we need to understand, and again, we need to understand the spectrum of risks that the business has, right? Okay. And with a solo operator, it's from the way I see it, the biggest risk is that I'm not available for some reason, right? The most, now we are not shooting in the middle of the desert. So the risks are, I'm being in a car accident, I was injured in some way. Right. These are the scenarios that we're talking about. And because it's a solo operator business, the risk is that no one is there to keep this train moving forward, right? No one is there to drive things forward. The second thing is that you got to know what you have in order to, build the plan and proceed through it, right? So the first thing is to basically map everything you have, right? So it's passwords, your bank account, your delivery systems. Get a good password manager and basically store all that information in there, right? So you have bank accounts, you have vendors, you have, and I actually got listed, right? So you have your social media accounts, you have your phone passcode, you have your credit processors. Where are your LLC documents? How can you reach out to your insurance agent? What's her phone number or his? What's his phone number? Your CPA. All of those entities need to be mapped and documented. Personally, I have all my passwords I use KeePass XP. That's local. So everything is local and it's being backed up with a master password, which regardless of this, I strongly recommend everyone to use a password manager with a master password, and let the manager create your own password for your different websites. Do not reuse passwords. We put that. My wife, Lee, she knows where to find this copy for Builds and Lenses. It's in Google Drive. What's the master password? She has that, set aside. So she knows, okay, if something happens, she knows where to go, how to grab that, how to load her own, under her own account. Keep SXP, open it, and she has everything, right? She now knows everything she needs to know. So this is where I would start.
That's excellent.
So Assaf, let me unpack that a little bit and ask you a couple questions just about the password manager, because I am using a password manager, but I don't think I'm maximizing all of it. The idea, just to maybe clarify here, a password manager is either a local or a cloud-based system that is, you are setting as the user, there's a main password to get into this manager. There's extensions and you install it on your devices. And then from there, you allow this password manager to not only fill in your passwords when you go to that site, but you allow it to create those passwords.
Yes. Because
the idea is, and I did it for many years, I use the same password for everything. And I use a very simple password, and that's just not good. So you need to use something secure. Hackers are getting very good at understanding passwords and cracking those passwords. And so a password manager is doing that. Now, you said something about, can you tell me the main difference? So you use the idea, I didn't write the name down, but you said it's local. So local versus in the cloud. Why did you choose, again, what was the password program you used and why did you choose that one?
Yeah, so I'm using KeePass XP.
Okay.
It's for Mac. I don't remember if it has like a Windows version, but it's basically a local key store. It doesn't use any cloud storage. There were some, recent hacks into, I think it was one password or LastPass or one of those. And to be honest, I'm not familiar with any recent hackings. I steered, for obvious reason, I steered away from the information security world. So I'm not as well versed in recent news. I can tell you that I do also use Bitwarden for my VA's work.
Okay.
So she accesses my Instagram and my NordVPN passwords. So she just, she's part of the organization. You can set up an organization over there, and she's part of that. So she doesn't know the actual password or username. But
yeah. So so I'm so glad you mentioned that. So it sounds like you're using two different processes here. The local KeePass XP is what you use and then you've shared with your wife. But then also in your business for your VA and other people for your business, you have chosen not to give them the login and password. And
correct.
You've added them to Bitwarden. There's 1Password, LastPass. There's a million of them out there. Mm-hmm. But the idea is let's add that individual as a user. And then how does that program facilitate your VA to get into your accounts?
Yeah, so it was a little bit of an uphill struggle or some knowledge gap over there, but essentially, in a nutshell, Bitwarden has this organization structure or notion where you create an organization in there and you create the login entries that you want to share. Right. And you basically invite someone else to that organization. And when they try to log in, let's say Instagram, it will pick up, based on the information it has in there. So, and it will allow them to log in without knowing the password, basically. So it's, nice. It's pretty, yeah. Once it works beautifully without hiccups. It just took some time to figure this out.
Yeah. And this is something that we didn't always used to do at WOW, and we have adopted, and just everything about it. It's more secure, but also when people transition, it just allows you to quickly and easily cut all of that off. So I assume you're probably just in the idea of adding someone to an organization, you can take them out of the organization, or if they have a vault or whatever it is, you can just disable their account, and then boom, they are disabled. And do you know, Assaf, in those programs, is it typical? So if you share your Instagram password with your VA through this Bitwarden, they can use it when they're signed in. Do they ever have access to actually view that password?
No.
Okay, so
it's a role-based access, RBAC as it's called basically, and they're just users, right? So they're not admins to my account, to my Bitwarden account. Now, one thing to say, Todd, about about your previous comment, a lot of people, and I see this in the community, are choosing to, I'll just give her my password. I'll just give them my thing. Now, there is a saying, you know who you're getting married, but you don't know who you're getting divorced from, right? So this VA can be, the most sweet person to hire. She or he can be the most, adoring person, but then at a flip of a switch, and we can, it's human psychology, right? You don't know what person you're going to meet when things go south, right? You can say something and they'll be like, well, you know what? I'm going to delete your account right now. Bing. And that's it. So I don't, there's a level of trust. The trust should be gained. I will never give so much access as if, giving the actual password to a VA, someone who I've never met, someone who I maybe interviewed a couple of times. Yeah, that's something that will never happen.
Yeah, I think some of us have the personality. It's maybe more in the creative realm that we want to trust people. Maybe as humans, we want to trust people. But as a creative, we might be a little more lenient in the idea of systems. And the thing about it is, if it just helps you connect this in your brain, like don't think it like you're thinking something bad about that VA, like that you won't give it to them. Do it because you're protecting yourself, you're protecting your clients, and they can still get everything they need. They can get access, but you're protecting everyone involved, even them. Because if you think about it, now that VA, if you give them that login and password, there is a pressure on them if you don't realize it or not. I've realized this over the years that as we give people information here at WOW, that means they get pressure. There's a pressure. Sometimes over the years, I've had some people share some information they shouldn't have shared with others. And not that it was earth-shattering. It's just it puts so much pressure on that person because that individual now knows something and they feel burdened by that. So that at least helped me in my brain. And actually, it's a lot easier when you start doing this, because if you're keeping track of passwords and you're typing them out and you put them on Google Drive, boom, that thing's going to be picked up sooner than what you think, and you're going to have something compromised.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So password manager, we all need to get. We need to understand what our sphere is, like where we have some gaps at. So Assaf, say we go and we do the password manager and we get that set up. What should our next step be? Is there something we didn't think about with that, or where would you go next to say, hey, this is one step closer to being covered in the event of a disaster?
Yeah. So the next thing that I would do, that I plan to do with my business, is basically come up with an SOP. Right? A standard operating procedure, like a day one checklist. Okay, Assaf was hit, unfortunately, by a beer truck, right? Someone needs to pick up from here. So this document needs to be in a well-known place, to your significant other or anyone else that you chose to pass the, pass control to. It can be maybe a good friend, maybe someone else from from the family, and they need to be able to open this document and just follow it through, right? So first thing is communication, right? We need to talk to our clients, right? We need to let them know that something happened. Maybe it can be through a social media post. If you have a newsletter, we can do that. Maybe a text message, right? We have agents who are waiting for media delivery, right? So we need to reach out to them. Hey, something happened. We got you. We are going to take care of you. We're going to deliver as promised, right? So for that to happen, that person needs to know at least how to make delivery, right? Now, one aspect of that we didn't talk about yet is having a VA, right? So if your VA is doing delivery, then obviously you're well prepared, right? So she can do that. If you have appointments scheduled for the next day, you need to reach out to them, right? Hey, this is not going to happen. Here's a list of other preferred photographers, business, people that we know that can potentially help you, right? If you want to be like super valuable and super productive, you can, whoever is running the business now can reach out to those photographers. Hey, this and this happened. We need you to help us out. Can you accommodate these shoots, right? Something like that. Next, I would reach out to the ordering platform, right? So for that, we need to have either an email or a phone number, give them a call. Hey, this and that happened. We need to pull down for, 24, 48, 72 hours. We need to pull down the ordering page and put like a banner, some type of a message. This and this happened. If you want more information, please call us or write us an email and we'll get to you as soon as possible. Something like that. And again, have these templates like ready. So whoever operates the business now doesn't need to think about that, right? Just copy paste. Hey, this is the verbiage. Just put that in our ordering page. If you have a VA, same thing. Reach out to them. How to reach out? We're going back to the assets list from before, right? So if you communicate by Slack, so this is the Slack, this is the VA, write a few words, this and this happened. We're going to either, maybe closing business for a week or something like that, just for you to know, because she or he are part of the business. This is how I treat my VA. At least she is part of my business. We're going to stop operations for a week, and we'll let you know what's going on. Then insurance agent. We need to talk to our insurance agent. We need to talk to our CPA. We need to check financials, right? Okay, what's the standing balance? How much money do we have in our bank accounts? Things like that. So just have a checklist that will go through those items that will at least set the 24, 48 hours first critical hours that will stabilize the business and make things clearer for what to come.
Man, this is so good. Todd, I can't help but think right now, this time of year when in much of the U.S., things have slowed down a little bit activity-wise in terms of shoot. And we've talked so much about working on your business, not working in your business during that time. This is a perfect time to start putting together this sort of contingency plan. Assaf, this is great stuff. Thank you for sharing this.
Yeah.
This is super important. One question I had for you, Assaf, was, so we talked about giving some of this information. I think one thing that popped in my brain is that we want to make it super simple for the other individual to do this. Because remember, say this is your wife and she's doing this. And I think of my wife doing this. Like, not only is this like she has to bear the burden of you not being here anymore, but she has this burden almost, that like, this is my thing. Like, I started this, like, she supports me in it, but this is my thing. And now it's like this burden for her. She's emotionally trying to figure out, she's got the kids figuring out. And then not only that, but you're saying, hey, by the way, could you go run the business, what I spend 100% of my time doing? And can you try to draft a clever letter? Not clever, but can you try to draft an appropriate letter to our clients? She doesn't know who your client, she doesn't know our clients. She knows we're with realtors. So I think starting is key, but also just understanding and making it simple. It doesn't have to be complex, but giving as much information as possible. To my question of what the plan is when something happens, and this is a little bit outside of creating the plan, but what to, you mentioned like, hey, we'll shut down business a week. Maybe we're shutting down. Would you suggest that as the business owner, you're having a conversation with that next person as to what would you like to happen? Maybe my wife would want to run it. Maybe she doesn't. I don't actually know that. Is that would you suggest having that conversation?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's crucial, right? Because if the other person has no interest, and this is part of getting ready, right? Because it is 100% possible that after, communicating with everyone, making delivery, referring to other photographers, we decide to close shop. And if I'm, so if I'm only like, again, God forbid, these are horrible scenarios, right? But if I'm like only injured, right, then I'll be up and running in a month, right? And we'll figure it out from there. But if I'm not here anymore, right, then, and again, these are horrible thoughts, but my wife, she will be able to, okay, I'm not doing this, right? We're, I don't know, packing things and going back home. Or anything like that. But absolutely, yes, I agree.
Say one thing, I'm sorry, because my brain just started working. So this contingency plan or this, disaster recovery. So this is, I was kind of thinking this as past, like if I wasn't here any longer, but this isn't just that. This is if I can't come in every day and do what I'm doing. Like this is a plan as if I can't walk, I mean, we can't go shoot houses if I can't walk. Yep. If I can't talk, or if I'm in a coma. So this is more than that, correct?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, again, I'm looking at the most severe or extreme cases. But if you break a leg and you're the only photographer, what do you do, right? The thing is, the difference is that if I break a leg, my brain is still here. Right. And I'm still able to, okay, I know a few photographers. I can call people. I can call my clients. Hey, listen, I can't do this. I broke my leg. I'm going to hook you up with someone else. Right. So I know other people who I'm going to, still provide an excellent service, but I know the ins and out of my business. I know how to access things. I know how to call and I know how to, send DMs on Instagram.
I'm thinking even not worst case scenario, but say you have, contracted photographers and something happens to a particular photographer in a market and they're the only one.
Yeah.
Same idea. Do you have a plan to replace, and cover for that photographer in that market? Todd, you remember last year I got rear-ended by a semi on, on the expressway. Mm-hmm. And now thank you, God, I was able to walk away. My first call wasn't even to my wife. My first call was to the client that I was on my way to.
I actually remember that story.
Yeah.
I saw it. I think you also posted like a photo on your Instagram or something like that.
Yeah, Craig should not be here. That car accident was incredible. I mean, that was truly an act of God saving him in that. That was
very, very grateful. But had I not been able to walk away, what's the plan for the photographer in the field if something happens to one of your employees or contractors? Absolutely. Do you have a plan in place for communication for that? Had I not been able to walk away, would my wife know to reach out to Wow Video Tours and, hey, Craig's been in an accident, and because she's going to be overwhelmed, right? your significant other or your first emergency contact that the emergency authorities might be contacting, are they even going to think to contact you as the employer? So yeah, so much to think about through this.
This even gave me a thought of, so when many years ago, so I have a 12-year-old is my oldest, but the day that he was born, I shot a wedding because I just didn't like, my wife's like, I don't know why you took that wedding. I'm like, oh, I booked it now. And it's just like, I realized that it was getting closer. And so, I was scrambling, calling people so that I would just have to show up for the main portion of the ceremony and got coverage. But like, it would be nice not to shoot a wedding the day that your son's born, So I think even the idea of not some poor planning on my behalf, but setting those things up. We had a user on our super user Facebook group the other day asked like, hey, I'm going on vacation 2 weeks, which is a great thing to do right now. If you're in the States, it's a great time. If you need to rest and recharge, it's a great thing to do it. And he said, how can I make sure I don't take any bookings? And so, it was a simple answer. And there's a way to do it. But even just planning for that and the messaging, like you said, Assaf, the messaging as to we believe in proper communication or good communication and always set proper expectations. When you do that as a business, everything begins to fall in place. And just communicating to people that you are going to be gone for 2 weeks, people might not love it, but they're understanding. And then setting expectations with what they can do now and when you'll be back will tie up all the loose ends of people making up their own idea and their own story. And we know when we let people make up their own ideas and their own conclusions, the world can get crazy. Yep. So that is one thing that I'm taking so much away from this. So we've done a password manager. We've created this plan, which is basically just this idea of when something happens, who to contact, what to do, what you want said, and then communicating with that individual. We talked about for us in here, it's our significant other, and what they would like to happen with the business.
Yeah.
What else aren't we thinking about? Because this is a topic that I'm like, I never thought of this. There's got to be 100 things I'm not thinking about. Is there another like big item that we need to think about, Assaf?
Absolutely. Everything is good. Everything is documented. Now you have to test it. You have to test it. You have to do maybe a couple of those exercises every year, where you call your significant other, your wife, hey, listen, we are going to test this thing right now, right? And there, whoever is taking whoever is taking control needs to, okay, this is the Google Drive location. I need to download the file, right? Side note, you have to make sure that password manager file is updated, because as we move forward, we add more services, we change passwords maybe, right? So we have to keep those updated. So they take down the file, they log in, make sure that master password is working, making sure that the logins are correct, go through the SOP, give them a call. Maybe HD Photo Hub changed their phone number. Maybe they changed their, customer support. Maybe Spiro changed their phone number, right? And just go through the items and make sure that things are okay. If there are any questions, addressing those questions, adding, it's a live document, basically, this SOP. Whoever is reading it and going through it, maybe they have like additional ideas. Maybe they have more ideas. They can add that to the document. And this is very, very important. And yes.
I immediately thought of the tornado drills and the fire drills that we had, as kids in school.
As kids.
Exactly.
It's chaos. You got to practice and have it be muscle memory. That makes perfect sense.
Yes.
Man, I feel so unprepared now. This is stuff that you should have personally for your family as well.
Excellent point. Yes, you should. doomsday emergency folders. I have that as well. I'm not a doomsday prepper, but having one place where you have your
Right.
okay, this is the family trust, this is the
Mhm.
bank account, this is the phone numbers,
Right.
etc., because life is life, and you
Yeah.
can't really predict anything. It's unpredictable, and you need to be ready, especially when you have kids.
Right.
When you have someone that looks up for you and waiting for you at the end of the day, it's a big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God forbid something terrible does happen to you and you're out of the picture. The best gift I think you could give your family is this kind of plan, Assaf, that
Absolutely.
you take the stress, not all of the stress, but you take a big bulk of the stress off your spouse, your significant other, your kids. I just had a friend that their parent passed away, and thankfully their parents already had, the funeral was pre-planned and everything. And their kid just said it just made things so much easier during that time of grieving. You don't want to add stress to somebody that's already in deep grief.
Yeah.
Again, God forbid something terrible happen. So this is really important information. So thank you for sharing this with us, Assaf.
Assaf, if our listeners have questions, there's probably more we didn't cover than what we did cover in some of the details in doing this. Could they reach out to you with those questions?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on Instagram. My DMs are open at Builds and Lenses Media. Builds and Lenses Media, and yeah, feel free to reach out. Happy to help and jump on a call if needed. So for sure.
Excellent. Appreciate your willingness to just be a blessing to this community and help them with this. That's
Thank
awesome.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts, Assaf, about the topic today?
No, I mean, we work so hard for ourselves, for our families, and we want to leave something, that will push our families forward and making our goals, making our dreams come true, essentially. Mm-hmm. And we put so much energy and thought into pricing and what gear and what lens and what gimbal and what all of that. But it's really a question of being aware, right? At the end of the day, we walk outside. From the moment we open our eyes, we are assuming risks over ourselves, right? And I think that this is one of those things that are so important, which are being overlooked. As both of you said, right? People do not think about that. And I hope that this episode will, open the eyes of other colleagues and other, photographer journey partners. And I hope it will make, they'll find value in it.
It sure has for me. I have a list of to-do items I'm going to do and some discussions I'm going to have with my wife. So, this is one of those things we joked a few weeks ago where we said, we have other topics. We're talking about fun topics. And Craig's like, yeah, like insurance and all this. I'm like, what? That is not, but that is much needed. Like risk assessment, business continuity, insurance, all that it exists for a reason. It exists to take that burden off of loved ones around you. And it's something that no one is like, oh, great, Todd, we're talking about this today. But if we didn't think it was important, we would not talk about it. You are a business owner. This is a responsibility of owning a business. As fun as it is or not, it's something that you need to do.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yep. Excellent. Just, we have this recorded. Todd admitted I was right. That's what I heard.
Did I say that? But I don't know.
I think that's what I heard. Awesome.
One more thing, Todd, just for you, because, you guys also have WOW video tours and Spiro. Again, I think I mentioned that at the beginning. You guys also have to do this kind of analysis, and it's a completely different one, right? Because Spiro, as a software company, you should be like around, penetration testing and networks analysis and stuff like that. And there are a lot of moving parts with these types of companies as well. Even more, I would say.
Well, thank you, Assaf. Such a pleasure to have you on today. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you very much for having me, guys. Thank you.
Yeah. Our guest this week, Assaf Lowenstein of Builds and Lenses. If you want to reach out to him with more questions about business continuity, you can reach him on Instagram. It's at Builds and Lenses Media. We'll have it right on the screen and in the show notes as well. Thank you for the clarification on that. Man, what good information this week. And just really good stuff to think deeply about. And, Todd, I have somewhat of a personal plan with some of this, but I'm thinking, man, I've got a little bit more work I need to do on this and make it easier for Gail, for our family as well. So hopefully this has been of value to you this week. Like I said, we plan on having more guests in 2025 to bring you some really good business information to make your business stronger. And we just hope it's a benefit and a blessing to you. And yeah, thanks guys for watching. Todd, any closing thoughts from you?
As we wind down 2024, enjoy it. Try to take some time to enjoy it. The holidays are going to come upon us. I had these big intentions to continue to work and get so much more I wanted to before Thanksgiving. And I just got to a point, I'm like, you know what? My family's important. My time's important. Yeah. And as a business owner, don't underestimate that. I know we're all saying, yeah, but you don't understand my business. No, I do. I understand how important it is. I understand how much might revolve around you and how much you're almost really close to freeing up your time. I've been almost really close to freeing up my time for 20 years until I actually free up my time intentionally. I left, the building's still here, business still operated. We still took orders. Everything still happened. And so if you need to do that, sometimes it needs to be tough and you just need to leave. Of course, communicate what you're doing, but take some time. It's super important during this holiday season.
Right. Todd and I had a discussion yesterday, and he said, Craig, you're hard on yourself, because I'm looking at my numbers and goals, and things have definitely slowed down in terms of number of shoots, and my number isn't quite where I want it. It's not a bad number by any means, but I beat myself up a lot. And so I go into overdrive in my business development specialist role. As shoots have slowed down, I can get back out there and meet with realtors. And so I feel this pressure and anxiety to get back out there. And I'm trying to remember, Christmas is coming up. That's time I need to slow down with my family. I'm not saying stop work, but I'm preaching at myself here, guys, just so you know, don't beat yourself up so hard. You still have business. Maybe it's not at the goal you quite want it, but you're still bringing in income. You're still serving your clients well. You're doing a great job. Take some time to breathe. That's what Spiro means, is breath. Take a breath, right? And that's what we try to encourage you each week. Take a breath, sit down, be thankful for the blessings in your life. And we're going to say, have a great week. Take care.
Thank you for joining us for the Spiro Podcast, Managing Your Real Estate Photography and Videography Business. This is a production of Spiro and Wow Video Tours. You can find out more about Spiro's real estate media business management software at our website, spiro.media.